We went this time for a smaller set of decisions to be made. And what we wanted to do is to see whether people come to a decision a bit more easily when they have a smaller decision to make. Now, the smaller one here is in quotes. It's basically to say when they have more of a smaller subset of the budget to discuss. And I think the bit that we've definitely seen is that there's definitely something that was quite different from when people are discussing the whole budget. We had one group within a county which was well facilitated, had all the materials that you would want to see in a public forum, and have a women-only group, basically do the whole adjustment of the bits where we think public participation can be improved. What we focus on a lot is how is it that the public can better understand how budgets are developed, how your money is spent, and everything in between. So our big focus is always on budget transparency. You as a citizen, how do you access your budgets? Do you understand them? Are they helpful for you whenever you're trying to understand what the government is doing? Secondly, we also focus a lot on public participation. The reason why we want the public to access budgets is because we want them to engage better. So for example, what we are doing today is part of our initiative to kind of see how is it that public participation can improve when it comes to how we prepare our budgets in the country. And now, of course, we have county and national. Every year in February, saizi tuko February, every year in February, the national government, at the national level, that you still have your ministries and you still have your Ministry of Finance, at the national level, we have to decide how much money we are going to give all the sectors that exist in government. At the national level, we have 10 sectors. Okay? Now, the 10 sectors include sectors like health, education, public administration, and others. Under each of the sectors, you have ministries. So for example, under the sector education, you have a number of ministries there. You have a state department for basic education, you have a state department for university education, and the rest. So even in the budget, that is how the budget is arranged, is that you have 10 sectors. We have to decide how much money we give to each of those 10 sectors. Then when we've given each of those sectors their money, then now those sectors have to decide how much money they are going to give to each of their ministries. When we passed the constitution, we decided to split up shughuli za serikali. Government functions were broken up. We have some at the county and we have some at the national level. So when you're preparing a county budget, you have to make sure you are budgeting for functions that are given to counties. When you're planning for the national government and budgeting for it, you have to make sure you are putting in money into functions that belong to the national government for two big reasons. The first one is the one that Lucas has touched on. If you, for example, as a county, you decide to put money into security, probably the national government is also doing something on security, and there's a risk of double allocation. Or in some cases, there's a risk of you will build a police station, but the national government had not planned to bring any policemen to your police station. So you end up with a shell of a building. The second one is that you have scenario. Infrastructure has a big role in opening up the country, making connection easier, and making it easier for people to do business, to move around, and so on. So a lot of what we do under infrastructure is building our physical infrastructure, the capacity of a country physically. Do you have a transport system that works? In the sector of infrastructure. Now, those two sectors, even from their names, they have two big but different objectives. Sekta ya elimu, kazi yake ni kutengeneza wananchi ambao wanaweza kushughulikia zile challenges ambazo tuko nazo kama nchi. You are building the capacity of a country in terms of its human labor, the capacity to deal with the challenges that the country is dealing with, the capacity to implement the priorities ambazo serikali inajaribu kufanya. You're trying to make it easier for people to do business. You're trying to make it easier for people to move from point A to point B. And you're trying to make the cost of living to be affordable because it's not very expensive to to do business. There's a hypothesis also that we went into this, that the moment people do this a couple of times, then probably they get better at it. Because remember, here you're dealing with communities who probably have never engaged with the budgets before. So if they do it the first time, they do it a second time, they do it a third time, do they get better at it as time goes? And so the other thing that we're also going to measure in this round is to see whether people got better as the discussions went on throughout the day.
I'm also trying to look at this very department in terms of the 4 pillars that the national government is currently talking about. That
the big 4.
The big 4. Housing is part of it. So if you're looking at it, it was 1 billion. Maybe in the next budget it's going to be even 20.
Why?
I'm just saying.
And what is wrong if it is 20? At what point do we have the shilling being strong? So to me, those are factors. And of course, okay, that is positive factors, but there could also be other factors.
Then why was it allocated the following year?
Yes.
The reason is, one of the things that the national has not done, or the national government has not done well, however much they have transferred functions, but they don't follow it.
Yes, probably.
Are you understanding me? They have transferred functions, but they've not transferred
the funds.
resources. Yes. So probably the first round of allocation, the assumption was money to afford it. And that is why so many of these governors were like, we put affordable houses, which they never did. The national government have done very well in terms of purporting to have transferred what? Functions. But they've not transferred what? Resources. So, my thinking is this. I have 2 schools of thoughts. First, and this is a political thought anyway, the first 5 years people were putting up structures. That's very political. People were putting structures to be functional. And probably that is why they never did what? They never put money for that.
When you look at the State Department for Petroleum, then we have the State Department for Energy. Actually, these 2 sectors that are started duplicating themselves.
So what in it?
Because when you look at this one, exploration and distribution of oil and gases, then you look at the other one up there, general administration, planning and support services, given 1 billion. Exploration of oil and gases given 5 billion. Could these 2 things be merged into one? That's an all-encompassing. Power generation is there. That is exploration. If we use wind energy, other sources of energy. So at least maybe they will give us details on this, but I have a bit of duplication across in these 2.
We have 2 functions in education sector that are devolved. We have the ECD and the youth polytechnic. Has the county government done enough to improve these 2 devolved programs of education? The little that the county government is getting, are they doing enough with that small they are getting to improve? I'm talking out of experience in this because I see the situation of my ECD school back at home.
The 2 sectors, apart from funding from the budget, can have self-funding. For example, SPCR, talent. On talent, we felt that talent is self-paying, and if you get to that level where your talent goes international, you can give back to the society, and that is a source of funding. And then the other organizations, NGOs, have also invested on that sector, and other sectors within the government, like the National Government Affirmative Act Fund. So they get funding from all over, and that balances. The second reason, the other department, which is the GJLO, also has funding from AIAs, for example, in the correctional facilities. I really don't like using that word because it does not live up to its name. So the correctional facilities, these guys make antiques, they make furniture, they sell them. I believe these products from the prisons, that money should come back and help these various departments.
We were trying to see, after 4 years, we produce 1 million from 4 rivers.
70,000 go to university. Out of the 70,000, 10% are focus and material. Remaining 930,000 are wakulima, and they are not adding as much as infrastructure would. Garissa Road was built by NYS sometimes back. NYS guys are trained for 6 months. And they built that road, and it's one of the best roads in the country. So we don't need to put 70% in education so that we produce great minds. We just need to be organized.
People given time and the right kind of information can actually contribute to a discussion. And they don't need to know the granular details. They don't need to know every last detail of things. But for instance, I mean, we had the sectors that we were having debates around this time, you know, education and infrastructure, you know, and whether to invest more in capital development or in human development. People had ideas, and they were all speaking from the context that they were working from.
Some of the information that we get, we pass it on to government because they are the ones ambao wanashughulikia hii mambo. Ingine sana tunataka ya kwamba wananchi wenyewe wanapoelimishwa wanachukua lile jukumu kuwa jukumu lao kuweza kuchangia haya mambo, kwa sababu ukishajua hii mambo vile ambapo ile process ambayo inafuatiliwa, unaweza kujua ni mambo gani ambayo unaweza ukafanya. Why is source of funding important?
The government has to know where it will get the money to fund a particular project. Will it be paid by the donors? Will it be a loan, or will it be from the taxes? So the source of funding must be known.
Priorities. Priorities ni nini kwa Kiswahili? Kipaumbele. Kipaumbele. Haya tuelezee. What do you think priorities are?
Haya ni baadhi ya miradi ambayo jamii ama serikali imeipangia iwe ni muhimu, ingawaje wako na mahitaji mengi, but yako yale machache ambayo wameona kwanza haya ni muhimu sana, ambayo itawasaidia hawaje. Unaweza kuwa na priorities mingi, but you have the best one ambayo unaona itakusaidia, ambayo inahitaji iwafikie jamii mzima.
Trade off, if I can explain it in the simplest term, ni ya kwamba it is not that you can do A without B. You need both A and B. It's a question of where do you put more emphasis? And that is informed by two things. One, your approach, whether it is on human capital versus physical capital. It's simply an approach. So social security has to do with not just the physical security of property, but it has to do basically with the safeguarding of well-being. What do I mean by this? Ya kwamba kama wewe ni mzee, ama wewe ni mtoto, ama wewe ni mlemavu, you have an opportunity to live a decent life.
For 65%, sometimes if you look at the education is sometimes economic-based or human. It requires a lot of human resource, which requires a lot of resources.
Yes.
On the other side of, and again, the moment we educate people, either through higher education, TVET and all that, people become more empowered. People will start their own businesses. The government will get taxes from these same people who are educated. They will use now these tax to build the infrastructure and economic growth.
I want us to draw back our minds to the time that Africa was getting their independence.
Yes.
That governments that invested in education first were able to absorb the students. Wenye walikuwa wanamaliza wakaabsorb kwa kazi vizuri. So the population was getting employed. But those governments that decided that they needed to send away the Europeans and the colonialists without getting the educated people, their companies were collapsing. So I tend to believe that the one that should get much more government support is education, so that it boosts the other projects.
The literacy is at over 80%. That, and then the infrastructure of education, they are still low, because we are talking about a community that has been marginalized for over 50 years. The other thing that is very contentious, the reason why answering that question is very difficult, we just discovered oil. Economy here is very poor. Employment rate is also very low. So while exploring energy might cause employment to the community around. So in my view, because they are all important, employment is as important as education, I will give it a 50-50.
Not all will be employed in the white-collar jobs, indicating that a lot of resources should go to education such that as many people as possible can be educated, and those ones who cannot be employed in the white-collar jobs can be employed, can self-employ themselves. In the infrastructure, as we have gone through the document, we have found that some sectors can provide money for itself, like the petroleum. It will sell its petrol and it will get its money from elsewhere. So I tend to think education should be given more. In this case, 70. And then the other one will get 30.
This sector is not doing well in their planning. There's poor planning here. Because you look at the allocation given to planning, in all the departments is higher, it's very high. But in terms of if you look and compare the ceilings of the previous budget to the next, you realize there's some sectors that are supposed to be active are failing, and they have an increase. So it's not doing well.
The units, the spending units under energy and infrastructure, they are numerous, and if you look at them, none of them you can rubbish. They are all critical in the economy. While when we go to the education, we find that the biggest chunk goes to remuneration of teachers. So when we allocate education more, it means that we'll have, when the Teacher Service Commission will find itself with the surplus, then it will give increments to teachers, which actually does not have a direct impact on the development of the society.
Education should get 60. More for education?
Energy 40, education 60.
Okay, that's one.
Energy 60, education 40.
So we start with the first one. How many would like us to allocate 40 to energy and 60 to education? By show of hands. How many are for 70-30 by a show of hands? Aya. How many are for 60-40? So our decision is 70-30.
Okay, so how many for more for infrastructure? How many for education?
Education 60, infrastructure 40. How many want that? By show of hand. Education 60, infrastructure 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 of us want education 60, infrastructure 40. How many want infrastructure, education 40, infrastructure 60? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Not yet participated in any of the forums. Actually, this is my first time.
Yes, some years back, I have attended budget as somebody to participate.
Lakini nimeparticipate kwa kazi pale nafanya kazi.
Yeah, since 2013 to 2017, I've been participating in the budgeting process. Yeah, both at the county and at the sub-county level.
Kuna wakati niliitwa kwa mambo ya bajeti wa county karibu mara 2. Hiyo ni kuanzia mwaka wa 2013 na 2014. Tuliitwa tukijadili na kuzungumza jinsi bajeti na makadirio yake.
No, but I've participated in the public participation forum whereby the CEC for finance and the person controlling the various stakeholders were giving updates on what is in the budget for the financial year and how much has been given to each and every program.
Transports, education, health, all those.
Sekta ni nyingi, kuna za barabara, kuna sekta ya elimu, kuna sekta ya afya.
Sekta ya afya ambayo ni moja, kuna sekta ya kilimo ambayo ni nyingine, kuna sekta ya ulinzi ambayo ni mambo ya security, kuna sekta ya barabara na ile zingine zote ambayo zinahusu uendelezaji wa serikali katika either kwa county ama kwa kiwango cha kitaifa.
Najua kama kuna sekta ya afya, kuna sekta ya elimu, kuna ile ya biashara, kuna wale ambao kuna ile sekta ambayo inahusika na majanga. Nadhani ziko kama 10 hivi.
Transport atapata 30%, elimu 30%, hospitali 40%.
I would give that to agriculture. I would also give that to health. Then that 25 to education, and also the remaining one to the water.
I've learned so much that there are allocations that are not really a priority. There are departments within sectors that exist and we don't see their relevance. And they have very big allocations that could have been channeled to other sectors that are lagging behind.
Ile kitu nimelearn ya kwanza, kuko na ile difference ya allocations in different sectors. Yes, among the 10 sectors now, I have realized that there's difference in allocation by the government, depending on their performance. Yeah, like the sectors that we've seen today have around 4, but just to mention a few, we have education, and we have the sector like energy. Energy has been given a lot of money. That's energy, infrastructure, and ICT compared to education. And also, I have learned about the CJ law, and the other one is social protection. Yeah.
I've come to realize that there must be reasons why a certain sector is given more funding than the other. One is the budget allocations. I need to look for budget allocations I need to look for budget allocations in the previous years. How has it been allocated? And then also to see if they were given this budget and some things have been cleared, for example, like infrastructure. You find that you find that like infrastructure, if a road has been constructed, it means that the budget will now go down because the road has already been constructed. And then there's also this thing known as the emerging issues, which I didn't know. I didn't know about them. So emerging issues also bring about how you should allocate the budgets. Like it was interesting to learn that in education, you'll find that they'll be needing more teachers. That means that in administration, more funds will be needed. I didn't know about that. There's the CBA thing. So if teachers are saying akietu, you see, it means that it is going to affect the budget. Even if, let's say like if the teacher strikes today, something will have to be done. And that one will be an emergency. And also in priorities, there are some things which needed to be given the upper hand than others as per the priorities, what should come first. And then there's also the recurrent expenditure, which is that you find that there are some expenditures which they will be there this year, tomorrow, 15 years to come, what, the expenses will be there.
100% I would allocate 60 to education. I'll still do 60. And on resource infrastructure, I would give 20, and the remaining 2 I would give 10-10. I'm giving education priority because in most of the sectors, the greatest challenge we've had is the simple fact that these sectors, they lack prowess, they lack professionals. They come out in good numbers, but they lack the prowess that is needed to actually implement some of the things that are expected to be implemented in these sectors. So if we major on education, all these other sectors will fall in place.
Kuna vitu ama mambo ambayo ni lazima uweke kifua mbele, ambayo ni lazima kati ya mambo yote ambayo inakukumba ama inakumba mwananchi katika taifa lolote ama katika serikali yoyote ya kitaifa ama ya kaunti. Ni lazima ujue kati ya hii mambo hata kama ni 10, kifua mbele ni gani ambayo ni lazima yatekelezwe. Alafu ya pili ni lazima ujue kwamba kama hiyo vitu ni kifua mbele, ni lazima uweke kwanza mbele, alafu ile zingine zifuate. Alafu lisha hayo ni lazima ujue kwamba ile kitu nimejifunza kwamba lazima kwa kumbe kuna vitu zinatokea kabla. Kama mafuriko, kama moto kubwa inaweza kuchoma area kubwa, kumbe lazima saa ile unapanga bajeti ni lazima utengee pesa zake kando, kwa sababu ili saa ile inatokea usikose jinsi ambayo utaweza kuhudumia wale waathiriwa. Nimejifundisha kwamba ni lazima uangalie pesa ninapata wapi ambayo nataka kugawa kupeana, the source of fund. Lazima ujue kwamba pesa hii nitapata wapi ndipo sasa nitekeleze kitu fulani, jambo fulani, ili ile huduma upeane kwa wananchi. Lazima ujue pesa utapata wapi ili itoshe majukumu ambayo nataka ufanye.
Ministry of Water and Environment. I would say that because as a youth, as a mother, and as a woman, it's a very relevant ministry. It's like all round in terms of our lifestyles as a people. Clean water and a safe environment, which actually is a right as articulated in the Constitution, is very key. We live in a county where waste management is very poor, and for that reason we would want to make waste management graceful. We have high numbers in youths who are into the informal sector, and the informal sector, I wouldn't give it so many departments. I would just go straight to border. The competition in this sector is resulting to a case where these youths not only look at border, as a means of earning a living, but it also promotes vices. So if we have plans for waste management, if we have amongst the youths and women people who can sensitize the masses on proper waste management, if we have planners from the professional sector, if we have planners for Homa Bay County, we would do well as a people. So if we have allocations for the same, I believe this issue of having youths who are unemployed or those that are living those that are living in poverty will be a case of the past.
We did focus on a smaller part of the budget this time round. And one thing we noticed that the discussions around the reasons that people give and the justifications and adequacy of those reasons was actually definitely broadly done this time. Well, it was done at a deeper level than in the first time. So it then brings us to the question of, as we are thinking of how we can improve public engagement, do we need to say something about engagement in the whole budget, or is the public more effective when it's engaging with a smaller set, right? So it's more of the discussion of, do we go sector-wise? So where the public is able to, the people are able to select what sectors they want to engage in, then they're able to engage better there. Or do we still stick with where you call people into one big room and they have to look at the whole budget and say something about the whole budget? So in a way, the 2 rounds of the public deliberations we did actually looked at both sides. And so we are hoping that the analysis will give us an idea about, did people discuss, engage better with the first round where they looked at the whole budget, or the second round where they just looked at a certain section of the budget?